Hi, welcome back to another episode of Missions Workout from Home, Season 5, Episode number 4. So today we're going to talk about am I too young or insert situation to start. Alright, so before we start anything, just want to share that feel free to like, share and also comment about this video so that more people can watch and perhaps learn a thing or two about this channel as well. And also the goal of this is we're talking about should one lift weights, whether you're old, young, insert situations. Alright, I'm going to cover even a little bit like some things from physically. Example, if you are post-stroke or if you are amputated or you have some backgrounds, and also financially. Alright, let's say you don't have money or you don't have knowledge. You just don't know where to start. So am I too insert this situation to lift weights, alright, to start? So the long answer short is you are never too late to start, right? Even if you can only lift up to next week, it is still a good experience to go and start, right? So we say start, it's not start to like lose weight or anything. We're just talking about very simple basic things, alright? We're talking about building muscle and burning fat here. Alright, so a lot of people like to burn fat, make no mistakes. Who doesn't like to look a bit leaner, looking more toned, looking more details? Who doesn't like that? Who doesn't like that, right? But at the same time, you got to understand that if you don't have, you can look as lean or as thin as you want, but if you don't have muscle, not only it is not, it doesn't look as desirable as what you want, which I'll explain later. And also, to make things worse, there is a strong evidence in the long run, whether as we age, if we will start to lose muscle. And the more muscle we lose, whether it's from today or until the future, in the long run, the more muscle you lose, there's actually evidence that you are more in a higher risk of getting injury risk, right? Whether it's a pain in the bone, joint and stuff. So this phenomena is known as sarcopenia. So sarcopenia means it's a phenomenon where you are losing your bone density and also losing your muscle mass. In other words, generally you're becoming weaker. So if you're too old or too young to start, then if not now, when, right? So it's better you start. You might have a chance to combat this problem. It's always better than not doing anything at all. Because not doing anything at all is easier. I understand that, but ultimately you want to do something, it is for your better self and it's for your own goodness sake, so to speak. Alright, so whether you're too old or too young, let's start with the young one first, right? Let's say if it's a kid, how young is young? Let's say if it's 12-year-old, 15-year-old, even an 8-year-old kid, right? Lifting weights shouldn't be very complicated to begin with. Right, now I know I have been guilty of this. I've seen it before where you see a personal trainer doing this to a client or to a gym member where they give very complex cue, right? Example, you want to triple knee extend, you want to triple extend your knee or do an anterior pelvic tilt to your back, you know, and all these kind of funky words. Right? It doesn't have to be like that. Fortunately for me, as throughout my journey, I have actually taught kids as young as 12-year-old to 15-year-old, so to speak, and they can understand pretty much what we are saying, and they can do it very well. Bear in mind, these kids have never done any weight training before. It's just some of my clients' kids who want to kill some time, and then I happen to be free. I just teach, right? And things went very well. They actually learn how to do it, and even whether it's a kid or what, if you are actually helping the kid, not just for building him muscle mentally wise, he's stronger or what, and don't let people bully and all those things. Like those commercials you see, right? Someone get bullied, then you read a bodybuilding program, then you become big and jack, nobody bullies you anymore. It's not, aside from that, there's also one good thing that is able to help you, which is actually to build muscle, alright? Especially in kids, when you're doing 12 to 15 or give and take 9 to 12 females, when you're doing puberty, right, there is some evidence shown that if you actually build some muscles along the way, it may help you to have better, whether it's reproductive system, or better yet, a healthier person in general. So, not a bad idea to start, right? There used to be a myth where if you're a kid, if you do all the weight training, it will stunt your growth. Meaning, let's say if a kid, right, he go and do weights when he's young. When he grow, he become a shorter person. That means he will never be taller anymore. That is a myth, actually. In fact, we have, if this is true, a lot of people who lift weights should be all very short, like a hobbit, right? Which is absolutely not the case. If you look at any strong man, or you look at all the weightlifters, or you look at bodybuilders, usually they're quite big and they are somewhat tall for most of them. Alright, so you definitely, a kid can actually benefit from that. So aside from sharing what the kid can, what can the kid benefit, one final one also I want to point out is that if the kid is doing a lot of lifting some weights to build muscle, building strength, it will help him socially in sports as well. So example, if you want to be good at football, right? Yeah, you can do a lot of football, that's going to help. But if you can lift some weights, you'll be able to kick the ball harder, you can run a bit faster, you are less tiring. All these things can carry him forward to the future as well, or even in the present while he's doing it, right? So, in fact, almost any sports today, whether it's kids or adults or even the elderly, which we'll talk about later, you look at the sports, every sports now usually, especially top level, we talk about top levels, we're not going to talk about guys who's at the street, alright, we're talking about not amateurs, we're talking about top professional levels in the world, whether it's football team, badminton player, or even a golf player, they all will do weight training for the same reason, to be a stronger, leaner, and freakier machine, so to speak. So if they can benefit, definitely a kid can also benefit, right? So this goes on and on. The downside, the only downside, there's only one downside, is that if the kid lifts weights, there is a risk of injury. Before you say, oh, injury is bad, let me be very clear, that everything has risk. You drive a car, there's a risk of accident. As I'm speaking to you right now, there is a risk of the fan dropping on my head. All these things can happen. So the risk is actually very little. In fact, if you really want to know, there is actually a study where they actually they actually find out the rate of injury per hour, so to speak. So example, football, American football, and also our football as we know, the one where we kick the ball, the injury rate is around 100, so 1 in every 100 hours. So that means if someone plays 100 hours on the field, there is a percentage, there is a chance where the person will get injured at least once. Right? So that's quite a lot. Badminton falls into that category as well. Walking, jogging is kind of like 1,000 or something like that. Lifting weights, however, right, if you don't go to the extreme, if you do it properly, is 10,000 over 1. Meaning, if you train, 1,000 or 10,000, I believe it's 10,000. So you do 10,000, right? 10,000 hours, there's only one time you'll get injured. If you do it properly, it is possible, right? To use myself as an example, I'm glad to say, I believe I have really trained more than 10,000 hours in my life. I think the amount of injury I have and recover, I think it's less than one finger. I can finish counting with less than one finger. I just wipe a back, maybe a stiff back, and then next day I feel fine, or the week after I'm done. So there is not much of danger. If you do it right, it will serve you. As I always share with my clients, lifting weight is like a knife. You do it properly, right? The knife will help you to cut a lot of things, making the thing very efficient, very neat, very tidy. But if you use the knife wrongly, it's going to slash your fingers, or you got blunt, it's going to cut some other things, or it's not going to be very good in terms of making the object nice and stuff. So it's kind of like this. So if you use the knife properly, it will work with you. So this is some of the ideas. Alright, so the young can definitely benefit. Right? Whether it's just to kill time, or they just want to look jacked or look a bit leaner, no problem, they can absolutely do it. Okay? Even if your goal is to lose weight, it is also good for you to build muscle, because number one, it makes to fill up the firmness as we talk about all this. Number two, last but not least, right? consider like this. Let's just say your goal is not to build muscle. You just purely want to build fat. If you don't have the capacity to do it, aka strength, how are you going to, if you don't have strength, how are you going to find the capacity to burn more fat, right? So kind of like this, like car, if your car CC is only 1.0, how much can a 1.0 car do? But if you have a CC of 2.4, now the car can definitely do more stuff, right? It can go higher, faster, uphill, more resistant, better mileage, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like this. So you want to increase that mileage, your performance, so to speak. So lifting weights definitely can help you, even if your goal is just to lose fat. Alright, I will cover more on that on future topics. Right. So we talk about young. The young can definitely be better at this. Right. Let's say if it's representing a school to run 100 meters in 100 meters, right? Man, if he were to put a bit of muscle, right, it's not going to slow him down. If anything, but it will help to increase his gain, so to speak. Right. So these are some ideas that the kid can definitely benefit. Right. On how to do it, suggestion: do they need to train young and old differently? There is, but not too much. I will explain after this as well. Right. So we talked about the young one already. So if you are young, you got a kid, or you are studying in school, you're watching this video, you can definitely benefit from lifting weights. Right. Build muscle, look better in appearance, getting stronger, and risk of injury also gets lower as you age. Alright, so we talk about the young one. What about the elder ones? Let's say you're a boomer, if you're watching this video, you are 50s, 60s and above, right? So why should I lift weight? Why bother, right? Most people, unfortunately, when they're 50 or 60, they quit mentally, right? Meaning they will say like, oh, I'm old already, cannot do. If you have this mentality, then I cannot help you. But if your goal is just to try, just maybe get some answers, and just trying to be able to get up from a chair without any help, tying a shoelace without any problem, don't you miss, dear boomers, all these simple things in life? Now if you enjoy all these things, then look no further to actually lift weights as well. Right? Consider this: you build the muscle, just like on the car we said just now, with the capacity, your CC gets better, then you can do more stuff, right? For example, if you can deadlift 100 kilos, right? Do you think doing groceries, carrying a 5 kilo thing is going to injure you? Chances are it's very rare. So these are just examples, alright? Of course, these are not just simple examples, these are real life examples, alright? So I have a client who used to cannot, he's in his 60s by the way, 64 to be exact. Can't even squat down starting before MCO, we actually make him able to squat. Lo and behold, goes to toilet, got to squat now someday, no problem. Tie his shoelace, no problem. Without a chair, he just bent over and he just tied his shoelace. So all these simple things in life we take for granted. So if you're a boomer, you're watching this, hey, just maybe it may be able to help you, right? So maybe this is why you should actually lift weights. So am I too old to start? Of course not. Let's say if you are 50 years old, if you are too late to start, then you want to start at when? 70? Right? So your runway becomes shorter already. So example, if a kid start at 20 years old, he has like, assuming he lives up to 80 only, this guy got 60 years, 60 years of runway. So that's very awesome. He got 60 years to plan, so the runway is very long. Things is going to be awesome. But vice versa, if you're a boomer, you're watching this today, 50 or 60, right? Hey, no problem. You still can do those little things, even though it's like 10 or 20 years left, right, to the end of your life. But hey, you can still do. In fact, if your goal is to live longer, I cannot emphasize that people who lift weights usually, they tend to live a little bit longer than those who don't. If you look back at some very cool examples of bodybuilders, right? Now, these people are in World War I, right? So like 1920s, 1930s, they're born 1940s, 1910s. When they pass, when you look at the date of birth and you look at the day that they left the Earth, right? They left planet Earth. It's pretty cool. You look at the age, usually it's around 70, 90. For back in those days, 70s or 80s standard, you can live anything more than 90-year-old. It's phenomenal. And bear in mind, these people are just regular human beings, right? The only difference is that they lift weights. maybe because when they lift weights, guess what happens? They're getting stronger, you're right. And guess what happens also? To feed the muscle wise, what you gotta do? You gotta eat a bit healthy, eat what is good, right? Healthy eating. They also practice that. So it's double combo and getting the best of all this, so they can live very long. So you're watching this video, you're 50. Let's say you're 50-year-old, you just started today. Average Malaysian will live up to 78, if I'm not mistaken, for male, and female is 81, if memory serves me right. Or just 76, 78. Okay, let's say it's the lower one, 76, 78. You still got 20 years to do it, man. Or if you're female, also 20 more years, in fact, more than males. So you have a chance. So take it, and go and make the best out of the future, right? So it's going to be very awesome if you can actually lift weights even you're old. Besides, one final thing I want to say, the advantage, are you too old, are you too young, is that whatever you do, regardless of the circumstances, is in a nutshell, it benefits you. Even if you are, how to say, even if you are, let's say you're pregnant or what, right, that you ask a doctor, a responsible doctor, they will still suggest you to be active. Whether it's doing some simple aerobic exercise, or you can actually do a little bit of weight training exercise. Now, before I start, disclaimer, I'm not a practitioner on pregnancy or stroke or anything, but I just share with you a little bit of knowledge, bite size here and there. So if you are pregnant, right, turns out you still can lift weights, right? In fact, there are videos of people where they got a big belly in front, I think it's 7 or 8 months already. They are still squatting quite heavy. These are weightlifters. Pretty cool. Kid come out, no problem. No problem. Mom also okay. Kid also okay. So something to think about it, alright? So it's not a bad idea. Of course, don't do the extreme by taking it very, very high intensity and stuff. Just do a little bit easy, cut down the intensity, volume. You can always adjust, right? So don't just say all in or nothing. You can still do something, alright? And let's say if you're stroke, right? Now I have a privilege to work with someone who is a stroke patient. So a former stroke patient. So the one part is called paralyzed already. Even though one part is paralyzed, that didn't stop her from trying to build muscle along the way. In fact, I think we actually built a little bit muscle along the way. So in other words, her arm from cannot even move to slowly be able to like move the finger or grab something as well. That is pretty cool, right? Of course, her physio aside, it also helps by doing a bit of weight training as well. In fact, the physio actually prescribed weight training to her, making the recovery even faster. So hey, more power to them, right? So we talk about old, the young, the special cases, right? Now we talk about financial wise, alright? Let's say, okay, I would like to start to lift weights, but I don't have money. What should I do? Well, if you watch this video, you watch my previous episodes, I've talked so many times, or even demo a lot of times. You can actually lift weights out of nothing. Like these things don't cost you a lot, and even if it costs you, it's only a few ringgit. Okay, you can save up 10 ringgit, you can already get something. If you don't have even money, no problem. Go to recycle center. Hey, pick up some of these bottles, pick up some of these broomsticks or what. I'm sure you can have it, get it somewhere, and fill it up in water. Right? You're watching this. I'm sure you're not so broke until you can't even. I'm sure you have a roof on top. If you have a roof on top, you're already ahead of the game. Many people already. Right? So go ahead, get some item, and just try to do it. You say you don't have money. Alright, I show you already. Right? Last week I showed you. You go online where you can buy. You're even broke than that. No problem. I already showed you all this stuff. How I use water bottles, luggage, what else? Body weight, right? Doing simple stuff. The goal is simple. You build some muscle, you build some strength. It is going to help you. If you lift weights, it can and will benefit you, not just in terms of looking nice and appearance. It also helps you to prevent yourself from being weak, having injury. You know, for example, people always say, "Oh, to lift weights is very dangerous." 99% of people say like this. Usually, A, they themselves don't lift weights. B, they have no idea what they're talking about. And C, they're doing it with horrible techniques. Right? So you think about it, right? It's like saying you shouldn't drive because there's road accidents, right? It doesn't make sense, right? if you do it properly, the risk of injury is very, very low. And think about it. You think about a grandma who has back pain, can't even lift up. Do you think it's because of lifting weights? Think about it, alright? So the last time that someone has back pain, usually is doing home stuff, non-exercise stuff, right? Let's say you want to pick up a stapler from the floor, pop, you snap your back. True story, it happened before, not me, on the office back then. So just want to share with you, things can get very wacky outside. Lifting weights may be one of them, but that is life. But the chances of getting is very, very low. In fact, my client's injury risk at the gym is the chances of them getting injured, again, like I said, one hand I can finish counting already, okay? And all of them recover in a few weeks' time. It's just one of those bad days. After that, they get okay, right? And these clients have been with me for years, right? I'm not talking about 1-2 days. So if they can benefit, you can definitely benefit from that, right? So whether you're young or you're old, it's never too late to start. You can always start, alright? So if you're watching this video, you got a limitation. For example, if you have a very let's say you have a slip disc at the back, alright? So what do you do? Now again, I am not a slip disc expert, but I just share with you. You don't have a slip disc, that doesn't mean you cannot do anything. Let's say your lower back got problem. You can't do lower back problem. You can train the upper back, right? Your upper back got problem. You can train your legs. If you still got problem, you can train your shoulders. See, the possibilities are endless, right? So don't just come and say, oh, I can't do it because of all the reasons. Just give yourself one reason why you can, right? I've already told you why you should, but just tell yourself why you can, right? When you find out why you can, that one reason, hold that to the reason. Use that reason, tell yourself that you can do it, and you just keep going, right? I don't know about you, that is for sure how I did it. When I first started wanting to lose weight, I gave all sorts of reasons, right? So I don't have gym, I was poor, I don't know where to start, it's tough, things and stuff. But if you do it properly, it can and will benefit you. So what I just tell myself, alright, I do it because there is a chance I can lose weight. Alright, use that, and then just continue, right? If you're watching this video, chances are you have been doing a long tons of hours of cardio and you still don't see results. So why not changing the approach? Maybe you get something different, right? So example, people say what insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So it's the same, you're doing hours of cardio already. Why bother doing cardio again? Why not just do some weights, see how it goes, go for a few months, see whether you get results or not. If you do it properly, you should be able to see a little bit of results, and or at bare minimum, you become a stronger person. So lift weights, nothing wrong with that, okay? So we talk about so much on, oh, okay, we get it, the young and old, whatever circumstances, it can be done. Now what? Okay, so now what? So go and pick up something and do some weights. Let's say you got let's say you got an injury, or you got anything, please check with the doctor first, right? Make sure the doctor gives you clearance of doing it. I just give you some simple experience. Again, this is a disclaimer. I'm just showing you an example so you can share it to your loved ones or what, so you can at least have an idea on how to start. This is not medical advice, yeah? So you want to take note about that, yeah? So example, right? Let's use a lower body exercise, the classic squat, right? So I'm going to move the camera later so you guys have a look. So let's say you want to squat, but you cannot reach that. We always talk about your squat has to be deep, right? If it's not deep, it's hard for you to see result. So what can you do? Well, I will show you an example, right? I will show you a young one and an old one, so to speak. Pretending the young one is well enabled, the old one is unable to do stuff we need to modify, right? So wait, let me just move this stuff. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. So let's use an example, right? You want to squat, right? So a good squat is you want to go all the way down, right? The hips below the knee. So you want to squat all the way down, right? So I'll show you from side angle, all the way down, right? Let's say if you, for some reason, you cannot squat like this, what do you do? Well, start small, right? You notice I have a chair here? So if you can't squat, use the chair, okay? Let's say you're a boomer, you're 70-year-old or 60-year-old, you can't move a lot, so what do you do? Right, just squat, do simple stuff. Okay, get up from the chair, okay, you come up. Just start like this, When you can do 10 times, let's say you can do this for 10 times, no problem. You don't feel any soreness, no knee pain. Okay, then continue. Find another chair, go lower. Maybe instead of here. So I use this water bottle as a deck like that. Right? So okay, so every time you go down, try to touch this thing. Just touch only, then come up. All the way touch, then come up. Right? Then when it gets better, remove it. Try to go as low as you can. So the simple modifications like this that can help, we can modify, right? I know it's plain simple, but sometimes it's the simple things that works. Okay, so you can actually use that to your advantage. Now, of course, I have other examples. So, example, you're doing upper body, right? Let's say someone has frozen shoulder. Again, another disclaimer: I am not a physiotherapist, but we can just modify based on the person's ability. These are just suggestions, yeah? These are not medical advice. So check with your practitioner before you proceed to change your exercise. Okay, so here you go. So a good shoulder press, right? I'm going to use a bit of weight so you have an idea. So you're over here, right? You press all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, right? Let's say the person got frozen shoulder, or he has a limited mobility. Let's say this is an old person, yeah? You can only go like this. So what do? The answer is, let it go from there. Right? So if you start, let's say if you cannot do like this, every time you do like this. Yes, it's not a full range of motion, but just let him start. At least just go something. Alright, there's one thing I ever observe. People always complain and start, oh, I'm limited, my knees are stiff, my shoulders are stiff, I cannot do. They always start with very weird or unreal positions. But after when you train them long, right, they get stronger, right, they get more mobile, they get more consistent in training. Then slowly, long cut short, they will become like this. Then they slowly go up, and finally they can go up to that length. I have actually worked with people like this before. Alright, so it's pretty amazing. So if they can benefit, and they're just like us, a regular human being. So if they can do it, so can you. Alright, so I just want to share with you some modifications you can always do. Alright, what about let's say person who cannot come up from a chair, right? So what do? Alright, just start small. So go back to the squat example again, right? Let's pretend this person can't even come up from a chair. Is also a bit stiff, right? A bit tough, right? Okay, just ask him to hold here, and then slowly go all the way down. Sit as low as he or she can, and slowly come up. Whatever happens as time goes by, let the person slowly improve. Whether it's work on the depth, building some muscles and stuff, just get moving, right? So it's never too late to start. For kids, I will assume that kid has no problem, so you can just continue, right? Simply put it this way: the opposite of weak is strong. So if you're weak, guess what you're gonna do? Exactly, go be strong. You go get some strength. You build muscles along the way, and you get those details you want in the long run, and also the strength that you never thought you can do, which you don't even know you're capable of. Alright, so to summarize everything, are you too old, young, poor, rich, pregnant, insert situation to start lifting weights? The answer is no, you're not too late. Alright, it's always better to do something than to do nothing. Alright, so what can I do? Alright, if you're young, what can you do? Well, you can, so many informations around YouTube, or you can just go to my channel, you can look all the past episodes, I'll teach you how to lift weights properly. You can use those, right? And last but not least, if you're old, right, can you lift weights? Yes, just do it properly, follow based on your ability. Whatever happens, whether you're young or old, or whatever circumstances, make sure you are number one, consistent, and number two, you are progressing in a certain manner. Alright, if you do the same thing over and over again, let's say a year from now it's still the same thing, you might want to find out what happened and you want to rework on your plan again. Hire a professional if you need to. Alright, let's say someone is just recovered from a stroke, can't move a lot. Yes, go and hire someone, get a physiotherapy, or if you're trying to lose some weight, don't know where to start, always gain a lot of weight after you lose a lot of time. Hey, go back and go and hire a professional just for once, right? Just to see, not just them telling what to do. you take your opportunity as a consumer to learn, right? Keep the whole skill to yourself. And then so if you think it works, you use it. If it doesn't work, you put aside, keep finding it, right? So long cut short, it's never too late to start. Doing something is better than nothing. Alright? So thank you so much for joining for today's episode. I know it's quite a lengthy one today. I'll catch with you on next week. So next week I'm going to touch a little bit related to this topic is why you should still lift weights even if your goal is fat loss. Alright? So you always hear people say, right, if you're on fat loss, just do a lot of cardio, cut down all the carbs, then that's it, problem solved. Right? So why is it you still want to lift weights? Is it going to benefit you? What will you get? What are some do and don'ts I will share with you on the following episode. Alright? So thank you so much once again for watching. I'll catch with you on the next episode. So till then, you guys take care and always remember you can always work out from home. Alright? Bye bye.